All right, at 6:02, we'll start the July 22nd regular meeting of the EDC. Roll call, everybody is here except Tyson Eubanks. Public comment, there's nobody signed, nobody here. Regular session, reports and announcements, financial reports for the Economic Development Corporation.
Good evening. I'll go through the first part pretty quick and then I'll wait for some questions. Our sales tax revenue, we're 55.2% of budget. This time last year, we were at 79.3. Biggest gap I see for that is some aggressive budgeting around that 380 agreement that we had with Quick Roofing, QR Purchasing. Just haven't, I expected that to start earlier than it did. So while it's on pace now with what the expectation was, it started about 4 months after we expected. Although I do expect that number to catch up toward the end of the year, and I expect us to hit our budget on sales tax revenues. Our rental fees, we're at essentially 81%, 75% through the year. That is right on line with expectations. EDC operations at 54%. This time last year, we were at 88%, so we're doing quite a bit better. Our town center shopping expenditures are at 23% to budget. This time last year, we were at 88%. Our fund balance, we're showing almost 700 days in our reserve. This time last year, we were at 478 days in reserve. Do we have any questions?
Director Horton, one quick question. Going back to that 380 PR, are we recognizing that as revenue in our general, which account is that in? I'm sorry. Is that in the 4081?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. If that is that it for questions? Okay, thanks guys.
All right, thank you. Item B, consent agenda. June 24th EDC minutes. Has anybody seen anything that needs to be changed, comment on, or we're ready to make an motion?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Item C, individual consideration, discussion, or action. Discuss update with our CP2 consultation service.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Chelsea Petty with CP2 Consultants, and you have a few items in your packet from us this month. I'm going to start with my basic report. We spent most of our time this month getting ready on business retention and expansion, a large part of that getting ready for the inaugural Business Connection Luncheon, which is next Thursday. We visited with more than 40 businesses so far this month, in person, most of them, with multiple goals. Hand-delivering invitations to the Business Connection Luncheon, but also talking about some sponsorships for the Hometown Christmas event, and then what we always want to know, finding out what challenges our businesses are facing, and then what successes that they're finding. And so also, which gives us an opportunity to share specific information about available grants and other support, and continue to build not just, we want to build a database of business information, especially contact information, so we have really great solid lists to communicate well with our business community, but also relationships. And so we've done a lot of that this month. That luncheon, like I said, is on Thursday, and we've got so far 5 companies that have RSVP'd to say that they're coming, but we expect to get a lot more of that this week, and so we're excited about that. We've done some work on the Hometown Christmas event, finding some really fun and unique entertainment options for that, as well as finding sponsors. And then we're continuing our outreach to potential restaurants, the local chains in DFW for Town Center. What's not on that report is an update on the EDC website. I'll have a first draft of that at the end of this week, so we're making quick progress on that, and the lion's share of the work on that project is done now. We're fine-tuning and choosing between this and that, and so that's really exciting and coming along well. You'll also see in your packet a brief report on a select portion of the business survey results that we've got. The thing that we wanted most out of that, aside from building our contact database for businesses, is finding out their top challenges so we can make sure we're helping them address those. They weren't big surprises, but part of the top 2 challenges were finding new customers, and you'll see marketing and advertising. And so those go hand in hand, and I'll talk in just a minute about how both the EDC and the chamber can continue to help with that. The other 2 were attracting and retaining employees and competition. Effects from the Southeast Connector project also came up with a lot of our businesses, as well as those looking to find the philanthropic commitment core in Kennedale. So I want to talk briefly about ways we're already working for the EDC to help with some of these, and they're not new. I've talked about we want to increase communication with our businesses, and the basics of that are just having great lists. And so we've made huge strides in that in the last couple of months. Our newly expanded website will be part of that, as well as the events like the one the EDC is putting on next week. We want to do a better job of communicating about all the local resources through all of those channels, and then construction and traffic updates is another commonly requested update that will be easy to put out through those communication channels. And then the chamber is helping with these 2, largely in addressing those top 2 concerns about marketing training. And so as we're building out the chamber calendar for this year, a lot of what we're looking at are specific lunch and learns and speakers and topics based around how to help businesses, both large and small. They have different tactics for their marketing needs, but marketing needs all the same. How to equip them better to handle that, as well as we build the chamber membership, working on a dining local guide, shopping local and dining local guide. Okay, I think I covered everything. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment, and I believe I made it last month as well, or 2 months ago. The Kennedale Chamber of Commerce is also funding their portion of their time and effort. So I just want to express that once again.
All right, item 2, do we have any updates on the Kennedale Town Center?
Mr. Hughes was unable to make it tonight, but we are in some discussions for contracts or lease agreements with the old Dollar General, and that discussion continues to happen. I've been out last week, so I do have some catch up to do, and unfortunately I was not able to catch up with Mr. Hughes.
Thank you. Update discussion regarding our fiscal year 2026 Economic Development Corporation budget.
Okay, your packet included the exact same sheet that we talked to last month. Excuse me, I made no changes to that. This is the last EDC meeting before we take our budget to council for adoption, so it's just your one last opportunity to provide some input to Mr. Hull and myself on what we'll present to council.
Is the $140,000 lift?
It is. It's other equipment. It's about 2/3 of the way down page 1.
So I still have heartburn with that. I almost think it should be moved to the Public Works budget and just let it be voted on in council. But that's me.
Sorry, not on EDC.
I understand. I kind of see where the argument was that the EDC, they could come out of the EDC budget. I think it just kind of squarely belongs in Public Works. Let them fund it out of their budget for 26 and let it just kind of go before council like that.
How do you feel if we go 50-50?
I still think it's a very expensive lift. So there's 2 parts, right? One, just the overall dollar amount, and then 2, just kind of be the EDC. So I think 50/50 is probably better. If you can make the argument, well, we'll use it for the tree and other things around town center, so that makes sense. But it's also, was mentioned that it would be used by Public Works for Public Works, and so they should also be funding some of that as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
As far as the maintenance goes on that, who's going to be responsible for that, EDC or Public Works?
It'll go through Public Works of maintenance. That's correct.
So is the rental option off the table, or are we voted on this completely? I thought last month we were tabling this to think about it, because there was an option to rent, continue the rental thing because of the price involved in this thing.
That's correct. We're still in the budget process. So, yeah, if you have more input, and obviously we'd love to hear it.
Renting is still on the table.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You have any input, which direction you would like to go?
Right now, I'd like to see us continue to rent this thing. I understand your perspective about the things that need to be done in the city lights out and stuff like this, but I'd like us to consider, well, the city, first of all, to consider seasonal employees or temporary employees to try to get some of those things done while we're renting the lift. Rather than investing this kind of money in something and then we don't know how many times a year we're going to use it.
To council members' point, how do you feel of a 50/50 with the city absorbing 50% of the cost, EDC absorbing 50% of the cost? There's a lot of benefits both ways. So to that point, there's a lot of things on the economic development side is benefiting the city. The city is benefiting the residents. The EDC is benefiting the commercial or industrial side of things, which is also a public safety concern as well. There's a lot of different avenues that we can go down to indicate. The bottom line of it is it's coming out of the city's coffer, no matter how you look at it. It's a benefit to the city, to our visitors, to our residents, and to our business owners. And that was the factor for me to bring it to the EDC, to understand that we have visitors, we have traffic that's coming in to provide their funding for the city. That was the intent. Obviously, there's things that we fund as well through the EDC Hometown Christmas, for example. We lease the equipment for 2 months to be able to accommodate literally just a hometown Christmas, putting lights up, the Christmas tree, decorations, not only in the town center, but throughout the park. And you'll see more of that as we go forward. Little School Road, Sublet, we'll use that lift to put decorations on utility poles. So there's lighting, hometown Christmas, yes, those are main factors that you're going to see. But there's other things that we can utilize it for, and I'll give you an example. Last week, we had to cut down 2 trees here at City Hall. We could have utilized that lift for that and could have saved roughly $3,500. So there's, for me to come in and give you an exhausted list of the capabilities of this piece of equipment, I can't do that. To indicate there's a value to this piece of equipment, it's absolutely, and it's going to grow. That's my intent of purchasing this. It's not just for today. The lifespan of that piece of equipment is 20 years. There's some of them that are even older than that. So it's kind of like going out and buying a tractor that's honestly sits weeks at a time. But when it's there, we need it, we have it. And we're not having to go out and spend money to get that piece of equipment. So there's a lot, and I think it's fair to your point. A 50/50 is a reasonable solution to it.
What type of warranty is on this thing? What type of warranty, and again, maintenance, because We know that mechanical and electrical parts fail, and it probably won't last 20 years. So again, what are the maintenance costs involved with this?
The most, excuse me, the most likely thing to break on it is hydraulics, which you usually get around 10 years before you'd have to do anything serious. But we're talking about replacing hoses and liquids inside, nothing major like a full overhaul of an engine like we would have to do with some of our dump trucks after so many years and things like that. It's very minor on the maintenance. General maintenance throughout the year, if we have a good director, he'll do general maintenance, but you don't even need to because the use is not generally every day. It's, a couple times a month. I kind of like the 50-50 idea because if we take your idea of renting, for example, I think the priority of the city, at least with me as a councilman, is to not knock this out in the budget. Excuse me, is to knock it out. So we could purchase it and y'all could rent it from the city, basically, if that's what you insist. But in 10 years, you would have been way past what going 50-50 on with the city. I think that is a good compromise. That way everybody can use it. And again, it's not our responsibility at EDC to keep up with maintenance. So if it does break, the city's going to pay for it. All we got to do is make it cheaper for everybody, basically, by pulling the two checks together, basically, to pay for it. But if you would insist on renting, we could rent it. We can rent it from the city, probably at a discount versus a private organization. But you're still talking about after just a few years, you might as well have went 50-50 in and on it.
One of the benefits was explained to me during a conversation with Public Works was that there are times where we hire a contractor to do something that's more specialized than what our staff on hand can do, and they will go rent a lift. We pay for them to rent a lift. If we had this lift on hand, they would just use our lift, and that would reduce the cost of that repair or that contract at the time. One example I can think of immediately offhand was when we had air conditioner work on the building. They used our pull-behind lift. This would have been a better option for them, a safer option, but that's just one time where a contractor used our equipment that we had on hand, and that reduced the cost we had to that contractor.
And I think you can hear, and that's what Daryl's kind of saying, and John's kind of saying, we can make you a list all day long of the benefits, and that list is going to be pages, and it's just so much. I think there's way more benefits than there are issues with it. The issues wouldn't even fill up a full page. And I think that's why this is a good compromise or good idea to go 50-50.
Are we just budgeting for it right now? We're not actually purchasing, or are we going to say, since we have it in the budget, we're not going to price it out? We're just going to buy the new one if it's budgeted for that? Or are we going to actually price used ones, and is it going to be voted on, or are y'all just going to?
No, it's on the buy board. Yeah, it's already state contracted pricing. So for instance, to go out for a bid, we don't have to do it. It's already been done through the state pricing. Now, if you're wanting to go out for a used one, yeah, then I'll have to go through a bid process.
And when that's done, will it come back to EDC or council as far as blessing the purchase, or
Absolutely.
will it come here first and then go to council? Or how's that
If
work?
if we're coming in with a 50-50, I'll probably take to the council.
Okay.
And I had one last issue, and that was with the insurance. Is that covered by the city insurance, or?
Yes, that's correct. So as you look into your budget, or the budget as itself now, you'll see transfers, and I'll let John explain some of this more in detail, but you'll see a transfer from funding from EDC to the city. So that funding that's being transferred is including things to that nature: insurance, my time, John's time, any employee's time. So give an example, if we transfer $1 from EDC to the city, it's paying for all those services. It's all included. So it's the same thing as you see with this piece of equipment. You're going to see a transfer. That transfer is paying for that service. So when my comment was in regards, no matter how you look at it, it's the city's coffer in a sense. You control a portion of that, and I'm going to bring that to you because it is your decision. You're the one making that input. You're making that for this. I'm not going to come in in a sense, behind your back, say, all right, well, you said no, so now I'm going to take the council and get a blessing. I'm not going to do that. It's for all of us to make that decision. And once you make the decision to allow me to move forward with it, then I'm going to take it to city council and say, EDC understands the need for this piece of equipment, and they're offering 50% to make a purchase. And that's what I'll take to the city council to make that decision. So if you give me the blessing to move forward with the 50%, I'm going to turn around August the 5th, and I'm going to ask the council the same thing. So we'll have a budget workshop August the 5th, if you haven't seen your email yet. So then I will turn around to the council and ask for that same blessing for that 50%. If that moves forward, the intent is that we move forward, that will be a budgeted item for the 2026 budget.
I just want to point out, I think I mentioned this last time too, is because we don't have it, we don't consider even utilizing it for certain projects. When we do have it, then it opens up a lot more doors that we can't even fathom of the use of it in the future because we have that tool now. It's a big difference when you have it, and not need it than need it and not have it kind of thing.
So they're just calling for a motion to, or is this discussion?
No, it's just discussion. There's no vote or anything on it.
Okay.
At the point that we bring the budget to you, obviously, it will be in the budget. So once we get the approval from you, we'll move forward. We'll take it to the city council for approval.
But this is the last meeting before budget adoption, so it's your last chance really to speak before we take it to council for their final review. Hopefully, plan is to have it adopted in August.
So what you need from us is an affirmative on the 50/50 is what you're asking for us today?
Yeah, if I can get a general consensus on it, it's not a vote. I'm not going to take something to the council and not have your blessings for it. Now, with that said, I can turn around and ask the council to pay 100% of it. Obviously that's on the table as well, but I do believe it's very fair to come in with a 50/50. Because it's a benefit either way you want to look at it.
Going back to the question on getting through bids or not, can you just, at a very high level, just explain what the buy board is? Because I don't think everyone's really familiar with that. And for everyone listening at home, wondering what that is or why we're not getting a bid for it, just real quick, what is that as it relates to the city? Overall, basically a buy board, and there's other entities, agencies as well. What it is, every year, and sometimes it's multiple years, companies can come in and they do a bid process through the state. So in other words, all the laws associated with companies having to meet certain criterias, these companies come in and they do all that with the state. So all the bid process is done up front. So the state will turn around and make a contract with that company indicating you have met all the standards of hitting the bid process. So for instance, this last session, legislative session, the state has raised the rate or raised that bid process from 50,000 to 100,000. So anything at 100,000 over, you have to go through a bid process. That bid process, these companies just come in, they do it prior to, then the state approves it, which in return allows smaller entities, county, state, city, it doesn't matter. We can turn around and use that contract and do not have to go through that procurement process. It saves us hours and hours of man hours to go and do that bid. It is very lengthy, and the state approves for us to use their contract.
As a city right now, we're members of two of these purchasing cooperatives, Buy Board that we just mentioned, and Sourcewell. And we tend to look at both and try to find the best deal if both have a comparable. Sourcewell was started by the state of Minnesota. Buy Board is a Texas product. We can also use a Tarrant County. The county has a purchasing cooperative that we can access. So when we bring these to you, we're still vetting them, even though we're saving hours by not having a bidding process. We have looked at multiple sources to see what the best deal is. It just prevents us from having to go through a whole bid process. We're just like we're shopping at a store or different stores instead of asking people to submit a bid.
Yeah, that's a good point. And honestly, the state's not always the lowest, to be quite honest with you. A lot of times Tarrant County, Dallas, we do a lot of purchasing through Galveston, Houston area. Most of our vehicles come from Galveston contract.
Yeah, the latest truck we use, the city of Denton has a contract, and we were able to piggyback on that one.
Yeah. For smaller cities, extremely beneficial. It just literally, it probably saves us a week of work.
Kind of taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture for the budget. Director Horton, I didn't do the math before I came in. Can you tell us what is this difference in budget between 25 to what's being asked for in 26?
Percentage or, well, I'll get mine.
Either one. Because what I'm mindful of is we're losing revenue on the Dollar General because they've moved out. We have some other equipment we want to purchase. Are we trying to keep the budget flat? Is it going up 3%? Or are there opportunities where we can also reduce some of the budget items and kind of bring it down? Example, the functional grant. I know we just approved one at the last EDC meeting. I don't see us doing 9 more between now and the end of the year. So I think we could, I know this also rolls into 26, but I don't know if realistically, can we do 10 a year? What do we want to do 10 a year of the grants?
That's a good question. And some of it's going to be factors of dealing with old Dollar General. And hopefully we'll have some of that this week or next week to be able to really finalize what those numbers going to look like. And we can still share that with the EDC as we get closer. Right now, I would indicate that we're probably coming in flat or actually below, because we are losing funding. Right now, we're losing roughly $8,500 a month for the lease agreement with the Dollar General. So obviously, that's going to hurt our bottom line. To John's extent, talking about the quick roofing, we have had an increase on our sales tax based off of the 380 agreement that we've had with them. So some of the funding that we're losing through the town center, we're actually improving based off the quick roofing 380 agreement. So I would love to say, and John, correct me, it's more of a flat. And I still think even we'll come in flat, even dealing with the old Dollar General. But the numbers are coming in higher. Or
Yeah, the revenue overall, I'm projecting us to be 2% over our budget from last year, this year. 26 being 2% higher than 25, with the gap being made up by the purchasing 380 agreement. As far as on the expense side, on the operations, so I'm just going to go section by section on your sheet. So the operations piece, it's actually 5% less. Our legal services, we dropped legal services, and we took a pretty big chunk out of our Christmas budget. We actually reduced that by 50%. Special events, and the only event, sorry, Mr. Chair, you asked a question. The only event that supports is Hometown Christmas. Yeah, well, it's 50, we're doing 50,000 in the FY26 budget, but that's Hometown Christmas. When you look at the debt service, that's increasing 4%, but that's what it is. We're stuck on that one.
If we took out the quick roofing 380 and we did not use that as part of the budget process, what would that do to the percent? Just off the top of your head.
I can't give that off the top of my head. I don't have that broken down anywhere I can reach it quickly.
it'll be significant.
Yeah,
Would be significant?
yes.
Okay.
I
I guess what I'm just saying, between between Dollar General moving out and some of the other expenses, where can we trim to kind of keep it, let's just say, flat? We're in, not great economic territory right now.
Well, one of them was the Christmas tree lighting. Initially, it was $100,000 to cover some of the purchases, like the tree, for example, which was $50,000, but we have the tree now, so we don't need that.
Okay.
So that was kind of some of the fat that you're talking about. For me, though, it's the QR agreement is giving us another revenue stream, just like you would have an investment. So we should be utilizing that to a full ability to cover things like the old Dollar General and things like that. That's what it's there for. It gives us the capability of doing all that.
Sure. Okay. I guess my direction to maybe the Director Horton and City Manager, or my ask would be just maybe go back and sharpen the pencil just a little bit between now and the next time we meet to say, like, okay, where can we trim without sacrificing, the acorns that CV2 is planting now for future growth. Like, we know that that'll come in future. I'm not saying cut there, but where can we make a future rooms just because everyone else is having to do it also?
Yeah, we can do
The
that.
lowest hanging fruit to me right now is the grants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's, and you already mentioned that. So the functional grant, we're saying 250,000. If we're looking to reduce, we did one this year. I think I had five, well, I can confidently say 5 or less applications come in. We had one that was complete, but the project didn't meet the scope. A lot of people, it wasn't complete. So we didn't, maybe it's because that first window was closed. We didn't have 10 applications worth of interest in there, so we wouldn't have done 10 grants even if we approved 100%. Word's gotten out on that, so I can't predict that for 26. But ultimately, that's up to the board to decide how many are even going to be eligible. So if you, as a board, want to cut that down, we could reduce that immediately. The other things, I think, might be a deeper conversation. And I don't want to disrespect the functional grant, but if you want to knock something down right now, that's the easiest one we can look at.
I guess, David, my question to you is what's your concern? Because from my recollection history, the previous council and board members, they already went through and did the trimming of the fat. And then we increased revenue. And now we've been taking steps not only as the city, but as an EDC board by hiring, C2P, for example, to move us forward. So I guess my concern to you is where the concern about all of a sudden we need to trim some fat. I know last year was really rough on all businesses, but this year is already looking a lot better.
It may just be my knee-jerk reaction that for most budgets, the first
I'm a
one's-
conservative.
The first
Fiscally
one's
conservative.
always kind of the one where you ask for everything, and then we go back at it and look at it again. So, okay, what do we kind of separate the want from the need?
I guess I bring it up because I want to make sure, because it's always the handoff of political control, right? And we've had a couple handoffs the last couple years. I just want to make sure that we still move forward, even as an EDC board beyond the city. We've already done the steps of looking backwards to make sure that we're in a good spot. I just want to make sure that even this board looks forward into moving forward. Let the next generation of EDC or city councilmen worry about trimming our fat. That fat's already been trimmed from before, and we're just still in this perfect storm of increased values and taxing and businesses moving here. For me, that's not going to last. The golden era is not going to last forever. We need to take advantage of it and move forward. When things start looking grim on the horizon again, as far as let's see how this the new tax every other year affects cities and EDCs locally. If that starts to affect us, then I think that's where the concern of maybe we should start whipping it back. But for me, it's still in this perfect storm of this golden era of Kennedale growing. I think we should still push forward and then let the next generation judge what we.
You can grow and still control the fat.
Sure, but this city has already gone through with a red pen and went through everything that we have. This previous council did that since 2015 through 2022. And so we've spent enough time looking backwards that there's still this taste in the air where people are looking backwards. The reason why I bring this up is I want to just make sure that all of us are still, even the people listening to me right now, we're looking forward now because of the conditions of our environment, our
What are
property
those
values, our
conditions?
taxing.
What are you seeing in those conditions?
I think we've already tightened our belt enough, and at the same time, we increased revenue. So now we need to get the city and this EDC to a point to where it should have been 10, 15, 20 years ago. We were incapable of doing it before 2020. Since 2020 and all of our values, I mean, my house almost doubled in value. Because of this, it gives us the budget that we never had before. And we've increased employees, we've increased the things that we're purchasing, we've increased other revenues as well with 380 agreements. We've done a ton of those, more than we ever have before in the last 5 years. It's just this perfect storm of things happening and the people who are in control that's making this a better city, and it's moving quickly. I just don't want us, why this is still going on, because I see in the horizon that this golden era is going to end by 2030, is my opinion. Just because of this every other year taxing that we're doing here now in Tarrant County. We don't know how that's going to affect us. We're doing a good job about creating other revenue streams, I think both on the city and EDC side. I just don't want to go backwards right now. Let's worry about that 2030, basically. And I don't mean that we should make sure that we're not making every penny do its job. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to bring the red pen out again. We already did that for way too long in this city.
So let me just, and I agree with everything you've said. Just, I'm not saying we bring out the red pen, but Director Horton, keep me honest, the net change in the fund balance based on the proposed budget is negative $720,000? Page 6.
Yeah, that's correct. Sir, I'm looking on my Excel sheet. Questions in further detail? Yes, you're correct.
So if the current budget were to go through, we would be overspending $700,000
Yep.
next year alone.
Yes, sir.
And then we couldn't do that for very long before the fund is completely exhausted. Right, 3 more years of that at that rate, and then we're back to zero again. So that's why, and I'm not saying it's fat, but typically if you're setting a budget, it's like, well, if you're in and you're out, and how much we don't, I guess we as the EDC have never said, we want to keep this much in reserves. Yeah, for purchases, land purchases and other things. So if it's just like, okay, we have a lot of excess funds that we need to spend, okay, let's do that. And say, we'll bring it down to a level. But I haven't heard that brought up yet. So all I'm simply looking at is we're going to overspend $700,000 next year based on this.
Yeah, with that said, the $700,000 is coming from $130,000 left and $500,000 for the renovations for Dollar General. Which is, it's going to be another discussion that we need to have. But yes, to your point, to both of your points, it's very valid. And we need to take advantage when we can. And that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing the lift to you, be quite honest with you, to that point. I wouldn't, obviously nothing's intentionally for negative, but we have an opportunity to provide a service to our city and every aspects of it. That's the reason why I put it in there. And to your point, the $700,000 is a challenge for us. It's a step that, to a certain extent, we're betting on the future. It's $500,000 for YMCA to come in and be a partner within our city, which is a very valid partnership that's beneficial for our residents, our business owners, just our city as a whole. And it's a major investment. I budgeted $500,000 for the YMCA to come in and be a part of our town center, which the EDC controls. Unfortunately, I did get word last week that it's not 500,000, it's 869,000. So we have some challenges. We have a lot of discussion that we're going to have to make, and we're going to have to make some very hard challenge.
So that takes that 700,000 up to $1 million now, right?
Well, and to be honest with you, I'm really not in the position to really talk about exactly which way we can go. Obviously, Craig Hughes plays a role in some of the financial things. I haven't been able to talk to the YMCA president to see what can we do, what can we work out to manage this to benefit everyone. It's a benefit for our citizens. It's something that they have asked for that I'm aware of for three decades. So for me personally, as a city manager and for just being a part of this community for that long, it's something they have asked for year after year after year. And we're challenged with something that our past has haunted us. So we have some decisions to make, and I wish I had the answer, and I don't. My heart tells me that we need to move forward and we need to make this happen. But the city manager in me says, hold up. We got other responsibilities. And honestly, I just need time to be able to work through that. I didn't anticipate 369,000 over budget. I did not anticipate that at all. That's roughly $800 per square foot, which is not normal. Generally, we're talking about 300 to 400,000, or I'm sorry, $300 to $400 a square foot. So it's doubled in that concept. And I'm sharing a lot of information with it, but I haven't been able to bring it all together to have a package for you and have a solution for you. So I'm really talking outside of my norm here. John?
Just want to make another point. As far as us spending $500,000, Daryl and I talked about it this morning. I'm sorry, Mr. Hull and I talked about it this morning. And over the life that we'll own the building, if we do nothing to that space, we'll lose about $400,000 in revenue. So spending up front to be able to charge a larger rent, and also essentially for us on the financial side, we could break even in that span and have something in the town center that'll draw people in and increase our sales tax. The other idea of this is when the building does change ownership, it would land on the tax rolls at a higher value because of these renovations. And if I can sneak one more thing in here real quick, if you notice on the land proceeds revenue, I'm not budgeting any proceeds on that. We do have the opportunity, if we have an opportune buyer, to sell property at a, I'd say profit, but at a profit, and be able to spend that revenue toward a lift or whatever else may be. And we've discussed a couple properties before that haven't quite sold yet, but that is an option to gaining revenue that I didn't budget in here.
I got one last question regarding that. With a $300,000 increase, projected increase, Mr. Hull, would you or think that maybe we could look at an option of not only remodeling, but also tearing it down and rebuilding?
At this point, it's not an option.
It's not an option?
So to your point, if that's the division of it, we don't do anything. There's no reason to invest in it. We lose it in 2030.
Right,
So Craig Hughes
right.
takes over if he wants to do that. Obviously, that becomes his burden. The investment side of it, at $500,000, we're able to recoup we get our return on our investment ultimately, which is a goal.
Okay.
So once you go beyond that, what is our return? So on the economic development side of it, it's bringing anywhere from 13 to 2,000 people a month to our town center. That builds our sales tax. It builds value. It builds a new building. We benefit from it. So whenever I'm looking at 500,000, it's not just about the 500,000, it's what are we bringing to us, which that's what economic development does. We want that 2,000 people coming here because they spend their money here. That's the benefit. That's our return in our investment off the 500,000. For me, I'm having to reevaluate everything of 369,000. How do I recoup that 369 to bring to you to say, hey, this is what we can gain from it? And I don't think we really have enough time to go into it, but there's other factors that go into it. So we have $3 million that we're renovating our ball fields in reference to YMCA and other groups of Kennedale Youth Association, which bringing more people to our center, our town center, our ball fields, our city as a whole to spend that money. So, logically, I want to say yes, within the next 10 years, we have our return. Our return on our investment's here. But for the building itself of investing $500,000 and get a return in 4 years, it's not practical. It's not. I need more funding from Craig Hughes, and I'm going to need funding from YMCA to make the deal happen. And this is I'm just talking about 3 or 4 scenarios. I got 5 others that's not, honestly, not even on the table, because the ones that need to talk about it are not here as of yet. But that decision will be made, and ultimately, it will be brought to you as well. I want to stay where we're at with the budget for 500,000. I feel comfortable with that, and I hope you guys feel comfortable with that. I think that's an easy return in our investment based off of what we're bringing. The 869,000, I don't feel as comfortable, and I need to find that funding somewhere else.
This might have been talked about before. What's the target date? Is it 3-4 years that we're going to be done with that?
Yes, I'm going to say March of 2030. The building becomes the property of Craig Hughes.
So it'll be done before the sale, and then we need to probably have some new tenants out there. That way that when people come in, they have somewhere to spend their money so that we can do what the EDC is for. So I think they should be in place first or simultaneously, which that lies on who's ready to come over here and be a part of it, which.
Well, to your point, even if YMCA decides, hey, you know what, we can't work this out, we still have a building it's got to be renovated. And at minimum, we're looking $300,000 to $400,000 for a basic remodel. The restrooms, the flooring, if you walked in the building, you're just like, wow. So there's an investment there, no matter what we do. The YMCA is not even a factor, be quite honest with you. If we want to lease the building out, we're going to spend a minimum of $400,000. It's the build out part that is the issue. Can we get our return? Yes. But the other side of it is we have to have Craig Hughes or our consultants come in and find a company that's able, capable, and willing to come in and invest another $400,000 at minimum to get it to their standard and have a lease agreement with it for 10,000 square feet, with the idea that right now Craig Hughes is having problems filling a building for 1,200. So obviously, it's common sense in the sense somebody that needs 10,000 square feet is pretty much a box store company, or has a very high revenue funding. So there's a lot of challenges when we're trying to fill this position. And that's the reason why I feel confident at the 500,000 mark. Either way we go, if we want to continue to have a lease agreement, we're going to have to spend 400,000 with the idea that at one point somebody fills it. Whatever that point is, we're still losing. There's no gain. If that's the concept of it, I'd rather come in and spend 800,000 to bring a product that we know is valued not only in our community, but honestly worldwide. We're going to be bringing people in from Mansfield, Arlington, every surrounding city will be coming to the city of Kennedale because of what the YMCA brings. And that's value. It's value to our city as a name, and it's a value to our town center to build a replicable town center that has some type of identity that we don't have now. And YMCA does bring that. That's value.
So,
Sorry, that was a lot of.
no, I mean,
information.
you and I talked about this earlier. We have to be good landlords. It doesn't matter if YMCA is going in there or not.
That's right.
We still own it for now. We have to be good landlords about it. It's just one of those negative sides of being a landlord and owning property. Sometimes you get tenants that rip it up in a year and you're spending 20 grand and they only paid 5 grand in rent. It happens.
I like that extra information because anybody that's listening, they don't get to hear that explanation, and it puts it in terms that others can hear, whether it's been said before or not, but maybe it needs to be resaid because when you're spending 500, 800,000 and they don't know about it, so it gives them a little bit more information, and myself included, so.
Thank you. It's a hard decision. Sometimes the city has not been in this predicament, and we've always went the other way. I want us to make a great, sound decision on which way we go. And we do have options. We really do. And that's something maybe we hadn't had in the past that we have today. But we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to make it happen no matter what it is.
All right, any more discussions on our budget, proposed budget for 2026?
If I can get a little bit more information about the lift.
Okay, on the
My
list- on the
understanding
list,
is that that's 50,
does anybody have a problem with a 50-50 split, on the proposed 50-50 split on a proposed budget for 2026? I don't.
I think it's one thing I want to look at too is the grants. I mean, we only gave out, what, 6 grants this year? 1? And we budgeted for 10?
well, in all fairness, with the one, that fall window was closed while we were revamping the program.
Right.
But we only issued 1 grant, and then we have maybe,
But the
maybe $4,000
qualifications
that's
now
left over.
for it are at a higher standard than what they were before. So what if we just do 5 grants a year? And then we'll save 125,000.
Based on some of the documents inside the CP2, it's almost being used as a incentive, if I understood it. I mean,
That's the purpose for it. That's
Right, but
to
if we start
invest
into
into your
limiting,
business, yeah.
if we start limiting it though, which we don't know what it's going to bring next year. We don't know how many people are going to apply to it. But if we're using it as incentive and we cut it,
I'm saying cut it in half.
yeah.
Give out 5.
And I guess if we saw the outreach for it, and we could always go back.
Right.
Okay, I agree.
Wait the next year.
Yeah.
I make that same recommendation based off the history that we have had, not just this year, but you can look back even the last 10 years. The interest is not there, although it's been easier to receive those fundings. I would like to see one, honestly, CP2's capabilities. We do have our EDC meet and greet July 31st, which we're utilizing and using this grant opportunity to share that with the businesses. Sometimes they just don't know about it. And I do believe that's part of it. That's the reason why we're building the website. That's the reason why we're trying to get the data, we're trying to get the information out so our business owners know that we're here. That's the reason why we partner with the Chamber of Commerce, revamping the Chamber of Commerce, trying to bring that partnership, that relationship together. I think it's fair to narrow it down to that. Particularly because I need a lift as well, and it helps the funding in that side of it, and I think it's beneficial. And it's hard for us to look back in the past and say, yes, we're gonna give out 250,000 in grants. Right now, that data is not there to show that. But if we come in this year and we're saying, wow, all right, we had businesses come in, they've done what they've been asked, and they've been able to follow it. We've made improvements. Let's look at the next year and add to it from there.
For what it's worth, I do have one company that they've already told me they will apply during the fall window. So just want you guys to know, as far as interest, I have one that will for sure be in front of you this fall.
I have one maybe as well. I mean, I'm with cutting that, and then when we max it out, revaluing the next year to increase it, go back. I always thought 250 was a lot. What happens to the extra if we don't give it out? Does it roll back to us?
It just
Reserve.
goes into the reserve, and then we can redistribute that the next budget cycle.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, might as well utilize it instead of, wishing upon a star and then utilizing it the next year. I'm okay with that suggestion. And 50/50 was the other
Well,
question.
I'm looking at it as trying to figure out a way to cut costs, because when we look at a remodel for a building and it's 500,000, but then it's actually going to be 800,000, And at that, when you look at, we got 4 years left on it before it goes over to Craig, we're not going to get that money back. So we're investing in something that we're not going to get back.
Yeah, and I don't want to work in hypotheticals right now until we get better answers of some solutions from the city manager about that. But I'm with you on that, if that's the outcome of what he's trying to explore.
Because I'm looking at it is we still don't know the numbers. The project's going to take 6 months to even do what they need to do. So 6 months, I mean, there's no revenue coming in. We're just spending and spending and spending, and then we have 4 years left before Craig takes it over.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to get that money back.
I mean, I have my 2 cents about it, but I would like to see some results on that.
But with
Minimally 400 grand, I'm with him, like. we
improved
minimally
value
need
of
to
the
do that.
property, then eventually we would get it back through property tax. So, I mean, it's a,
And I don't necessarily look at it, I know Daryl's been hammering this too, about I want to make sure that by 2030, we zero out on that. For me, even if we lose this in 2030, that revenue for us, the value of the community of that, of having maybe a higher, if not the YMCA, that value goes for the next decade. We'll see, revenue from that in the end for our next decade. It's just going to take a little longer.
All right, coming back to the lift though, again, our revenue projections are lower because the Dollar General has moved out. We now have some potential unexpected expenses related to the remodel, and we need to do some more research on that. We could just as easily postpone this lift for a year, rent it, and then see where we stand next year when we have a little bit better idea of what some of the outflows are going to look like. It does save us some money. And if we were to remove that, keep it as a rental, not split, just keep it as a rental for 26, reduce the grants by half. I mean, if you reduce the grants by half and you take the lift off, that's $250,000 right there you just cut from the budget. And it's not that big of an impact. I mean, you're not reducing services to the citizens. Yes, the grants will go from 10 to 5, but I think the most we ever approved was 5. And as far as the lift goes, you can still rent the thing you spend $30,000 for the year to rent it if you need to. But at least then you're not having so much going out at once. So that's where I would say that's my argument to say we can sharpen the pencil a little bit. You can go rent a nice lift if you need to, but we can still do that next year. But we don't have so much going out. And yes, I do want that grant writer, but that's on the city council budget, not EDC.
Daryl, do you have enough from us, I guess, to move forward?
So 50/50 on the left.
I think everybody but one is on board with 50/50.
Again, I'll say I'll be the dream crusher here and say I think your lift is better suited to be in the 27 budget, just because of all the other things you have going out the door projected right now for 26. You've lost revenue on that town center. We've got an expensive remodel coming at us. I would say push it out a year, but I'm just one vote, so.
And you're good with dropping the grant in half.
Yes, at this point, I would say definitely reduce the grants to 5. We've already spent, reduce the grants to 5 for that's 26. And then if we hit all 5, or we have more interest, if you're turning people away, if you come to us and say, hey, we've got 5 more lined up, ready to go, then we know that in the 27 budget, we would need to increase that number.
Dodson, your input?
I would agree with Mr. Glover. I don't have anything further to add to that, but I do agree with the cutting the grants in order to make up some funds. But based on what she gets her output on her, then we'll look at it again. That's my 2 cents.
The lift?
The lift for me, I think it's too much. I think that we can find something cheaper. As far as renting goes, if we tabled that till next year, we can still rent something and utilize it as much as possible. I mean, if we need it for longer and something else comes up, we'll rent it, and use it if we got to. And then that saves the money for now, and then we look at it. If we're using it more next year, look at it again and save the money now, because then we can make that $300,000 a little bit closer to the 5.
The only downfall about renting a lift, and this happened last year or the year before, we rented one, we blew a hydraulic line, and it shut down the whole operation for 2 days till they can get a service tech to come out and fix it. So,
Right, but same thing though, but Dustin just said it. That could happen to ours, and now we're on the hook for repairing it
On
versus
a brand new lift?
everything breaks. The failure curve was like a bathtub, right? It's going to fail in the beginning and fail at the end of its life. But
I think,
if it's a rental, at least you just pick the phone and call them like, hey, y'all come fix this. Otherwise, we have to do it. So that conversation goes the other way too.
but it's a lot easier for us to fix it because all we have to do is go to Stewart, buy a hose, get a hose, bring it in and fix it. I mean,
That's assuming it's only the hose or the hydraulics. It could be,
when a hydraulic line blanks and it blows and it takes 2 days for them to get the part and fix it, and you're shutting down your whole operations of putting up a Christmas tree, then, to me, that's a problem.
Sure.
It doesn't look good that this thing's sitting in the middle of the park because we can't move it anywhere. And it's just leaking flood, so. But we have to make that decision tonight on half.
I'll take 20, 30, 40. I need help.
Well, but also I am thinking about the council budget spending, right? We thinking ahead of that. We've got a fire truck in that thing now in the budget alone. That's not a small expense. So we've got to make this work. What? Huh? Yeah.
That's going to be a bond. No way we pay for that.
So is there any way we get this back to just, let's just hypothetically, we get it back to where it's just as zero, not -7, just zero? Is that even in the cards?
No.
Not it, well, okay, I'm only going to speak on the math. Yeah, I can get it to 0, but I'm not going to speak to what the goal of this board is or any of that type of
Is it just the
conjecture.
remodel and the lift that's pushing us almost to 700 in the hole?
800,
Just
yeah.
those two things alone right there are just about what's tanking it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Those are the two that's driving that.
Driving the biggest part, yeah. And if the remodel goes from 5 to 8, now we're at $1 million in the red for the year from 7.
Well, and that, and we don't have the revenue of the building. We got a vacant building.
Yes.
right, that's the key.
Does Public Works have a budget? Where's, I'm just trying to look for money
Yeah.
here. I mean,
No,
like,
you're fine.
do they have a surplus of budget that we can dig some out from there, or are we using all that?
they have some of the
That's the
biggest,
reason why I'm asking 50% from you.
I'm just asking.
some of the items that Public Works wants are the most expensive things out of all the budgets, even some of them together. Because streets-
tune in on the 5th.
Yeah.
If the city manager can come up with enough extra funds from the other individuals interested in that building to offset part of the lift, as we're not putting out as much, would that still put the lift on hold to 2027? Because he doesn't have a clue because he hasn't had a chance to deal with any of them yet. So it
What's
just-
presented is at
Is
bare
a
minimum.
possibility.
No.
I do want to point out that just because something is a line item on a budget doesn't mean we have to spend it. If you look at
That's true.
the projections for FY '25, our budget, for example, our budget had us going overspending by $200,000, but I'm projecting we'll actually have a $300,000 profit. So Just because we say we're going to spend 500 to renovate a building, that's not tying us to spending that money on a renovation. If something, the deal doesn't work out, we don't have to spend that money. This isn't an obligation to spend, it's an authorization to spend. So I just want to point out that there's a difference there. You're allowing us to go out and seek to expend the money. You're not telling us to go out and spend it no matter what.
I'm not against 50/50 of the lift if we have the money, but I'm against it if it puts us anywhere close to the red.
Well,
Don't have to have a lot of money left over, but I don't think we need to be well underneath our goals.
well, we're not in the red.
I know.
And we spent 700,000, we're not in the red. That's one of the reasons why I'm bringing the lift to us. If we didn't have it, I wouldn't bring it to you or have the capability of bringing that to us for that, including the renovation. The lift, in my opinion, is minor compared to what we're talking about with the Dollar General. That's dictating a lot. That's the future. We're not talking about today. 500,000 is nothing compared to what we're talking about 10 years from now. That's a long-term plan. I have to bring it to you. Tonight, we're looking at, I need the authorization to be able to move forward with the budget to indicate, are you willing to at minimum spend 500,000 for a renovation to the Dollar General? That renovation, at one point or another, we're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to renovate it? It doesn't matter who goes in it. Do we want to leave it empty for the next 4.5 years? Or do we want to invest 400,000 to get it to a possibility to rent? It doesn't matter who goes in it. We're looking at minimum 400,000, 500,000. That's the reason why it's at 500,000. My thinking process of what I shared with the YMCA is part of my vision of it. But at bare minimum, we know we're going to spend 400,000 at minimum to get the Dollar General to a lease agreement with someone that's not in line. So when we look at, are we 700,000? Yes, we're 700,000. We can drop it to 530,000 without a lift. That's your bare minimum.
But
So-
you said an additional 300,000 estimated though, right?
That's correct.
That's not guaranteed, but that's.
I'm looking,
addition.
for the budget, I am looking at for $500,000 for the Dollar General renovation. Who it is, it doesn't matter. But it's the 500,000 what I'm asking for that. It doesn't matter who goes in. Then I'm asking for 130,000 for a lift, with the option of doing a 50/50. It's a piece of equipment that's valued for 20 years. So what's the cost per year for 130,000?
For how many years? 5 years, 6 years,
20 years.
20 years?
So 10,000.
That's
Well,
6.5.
Huh?
6,500. We're doing
So
20 years.
$6,500 is what we're, in a sense, if you want to go with a 20-year lifespan. And yes, unfortunately, it is 130,000 up front. But we do have the funds to make that purchase, or we can turn around and we can say 65,000, which the return on 65,000 over 20 years actually costs how much annually?
So what are we losing each month without nobody in that building?
Let's just half of that, so 3,250.
So $3,250,
So far, we're
which we rent that every year.
about 12,000 already?
Well, it's $8,500 a month, $8,600 a month is what we're losing out of the Dollar General. So 8,600 times 12,
That's almost 100,000 right there. There you go.
That's 103, 200,
times 4,
If we spend the money,
412, 800,
how much?
$412,800.
So if we do nothing, we're at 400,000 in the hole. If we invest 400,000 and get to a standard that's leasable, then we may be able to get our return in our investment on a longer term.
With the idea that if somebody's in the space, we're seeing increase in sales tax and also the increase in the property value when it transfers to Hughes Commercial. So there's some additional benefits beyond the investment if we do the renovation.
So right now, the more important thing is the Dollar General then.
Correct.
So then the lift.
Well,
The building's we gotta fix the building.
Yeah, we gotta-
It would just
yeah.
be the biggest eyesore anybody could ever imagine. It's already there right now. It's already an eyesore. We got to do something with it, so.
I look at it as we don't have to fix it. We can just sit on it for 4.5 years and say, here you go, Craig, do something with it.
Just
But my deal is we need to negotiate with him because, like I said, we got 4 years on it. What is he going to put into it?
Yeah, but what is it gonna cost him to renovate it once he gets it?
Not my
Probably nothing. Probably nothing. His own cost. But we're still losing out though.
But that is still the unknown here is what does that other second part of this renovation look like? And knowing how renovations go, even if the current overage is looking like it might be 300,000 more, it's probably gonna be closer to half anyway. Like, or just call it $1 million just for easy math to renovate that thing. So $1 million to renovate the old Dollar General for 4 years, like the return from a purely number standpoint certainly isn't there. I think, yes, conversations to be had with Mr. Hughes on what is he willing to invest with us as a long-term partner. That's another conversation that needs to happen.
Considering his deal.
We spent far more time talking about a lift than we probably ever should have. Apologies for that. It's just a one big line item. It's not a hill I want anyone to have to keep fighting on.
You didn't want it all,
Do you know off the top of your head, what do we pay a year to rent that thing?
but we invest fine.
to rent,
The lift?
We get
uh,
that back.
it's somewhere between 6 and 10,000 a year.
10,000? I would again argue very strongly that we postpone that purchase for 1 year at least. If you can rent that thing for 10 grand and be done with it, that cuts your outflow significantly in a year of unknowns. So
Again, I remind you guys that when we have it, we can utilize it for so many other things that we can't even list right now because we have it. It's only $10,000 of the select things that we need it for. Need it and have it are two different things. If we have the power tools, if we have the tool, we can utilize it for so many other things that it would double the cost of renting because we now have it. I keep kind of bringing that up. And there is no loss, I think, in the long term. You know, it's not a loss to the city in a 10-year, 20-year period, even if the EDC loses it, because the point of this board is to encourage business. So whether we invest and we lose $400,000, as long as the business goes there, this city will see the benefits by traffic, by whatever the business is, by increased tax is, and increased revenues that way in a long-term period.
Okay, what's more important? Again,
You're looking at it as a personal,
Dollar General
you're looking at it as
or
a
the-
personal investment. It's not a personal investment. This is, yes, we own
I'm not
property.
looking at it, this is EDC, this is not personal.
That's that, but you're looking at it as personal is my point.
No, I'm not
If-
looking
If
at
you're
it as
saying
personal.
things like we will lose money or we sit on it for 4 years to break even, that's not the point of this board. This board is to spend the money that we get in tax revenue to
Wasn't
encourage
my view.
business. Yeah.
My view was, what's more important, the lift or the dollar?
I'm not even talking about the lift. I'm talking about the property itself. You're saying that there's a loss there. There is no loss. As long as we spend money to encourage his businesses, there is no loss for the city or this board over a 30-year period. There's just none. We were responsible for it, and I think that's the loss. We're looking at it as revenue streams for EDC. EDC revenue streams all should be spent back into the city for long-term investments for encourage growth. So there's never a loss, I guess, is my stance.
Well, that's what we're talking about, the Dollar General, long-term growth, right? So I'm saying that the more important issue right now is the Dollar General. And even if it costs more than the 500,000, again, that's the more important issue right there. Because right now, we're losing money at 8,500 a month.
And that's kind of my point. We're losing this money. We're not having the benefit of that money to re-spend into our city to encourage more business. It's not like a loss.
It's still a loss.
Yeah.
You do a spreadsheet, it's still a loss.
I
Isn't
get
Still
that.
considered a loss?
But that's the difference between thinking of it as if I own this property, this would be what we need to do versus we're the EDC and we're mandated to spend money to encourage business growth.
But
So
it's
there's never a
still
loss as long as
Still
it-
a loss, Councilman, it's still a loss.
Okay.
Honestly, both of you are saying the same thing, so. How do you feel about the lift?
I say postpone it and let's get the Dollar General straight so we can get somebody in there, man. Let's make the deal. I'd like for you to make whatever deal you can make on that, man, and just move on.
Or make the deal, and then we can talk about the lift in 4 months. Maybe we'll have more info on who's bringing what to the table, and then we can go buy our lift. Not before December, but
If I can make a procedural comment on that, if we don't budget the lift, if we just sweep it off of here altogether, we come back in 4 months, that would require a budget amendment, which is a council action. So it does add some complexity, which goes back to the comment I made. It's an authorization to spend, not an obligation. So I just want to make that clear. Yes, what you're saying, it absolutely is possible. I just want you to know all of the steps that would be required if we did that method.
All right, is there a problem with the council on that, on doing it that way?
This is EDC, not council.
I mean, we got council members here, but,
I'm a council member too, so.
but is that an issue?
That's not a,
still
that's
back
not
to,
a question
is
we
it-
need to ask.
Okay, okay.
50% or of the lift or no lift.
We'll go with no lift. Let's move on to the next one.
And to be clear, I'm removing the lift from our, okay.
Why couldn't we budget the lift, or at least half of the lift? We don't need it till October is when we start, mid-October after trunk or treat is when we start getting ready to start doing the tree stuff. So we can reevaluate then and then say, okay, well, we just don't have it because we don't know what it's going to cost on the remodel. I mean, I'm just throwing, I mean, it's just like John said, we don't, all we're doing is asking for it. Doesn't mean that we have to commit to it. We can say, no, we can't do it. And then maybe if we need more money for the remodel, we'll just drop the lift and turn around and put it into the remodel.
And we are budgeted at the fund level, so that actually wouldn't require a budget amendment. If we have the expense available and we just use another line, we don't need to come to council for an amendment for that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just, since I broke the seal on procedural, I'm just keeping with it.
We're going to take it out, we'll leave it out, and we'll wait till 2027.
Yeah, it'll go up about 10,000. It's the way inflation is. All right.
And I'll go back to my original comments about 20 minutes ago, is the kicking the can down the road. The city has a big history of doing that, and now we're in spots where things that would have cost us $8 million to build a bridge cost us 40. And so if we keep kicking it down for hypotheticals, again, we're in a perfect storm of things coming, 380 agreements, hot tax is going to increase next couple of years. I just think kicking the can down the road is going to make our time run out of the possibilities of the things we can do now.
I'm just one vote. All right, y'all, if y'all want to put in the budget, put it in the budget. It doesn't have to be unanimous.
I'm really looking forward to the 5th, by the way, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun.
All right, let's do this. What's your 2 cents? Is it yay or nay?
On what?
50/50 for,
50. I was good with 50/50 until as long as, at the most, 50/50, but it's going to come back up for a vote again. This is just to put it on the vote, on the budget.
yeah, it's for the budget. So I'm not necessarily meaning to speak for Mr. Eubanks, but his was the same thing for rental. for to me, I look at it as a 4-3. We'll take it off from a purchase and we'll budget for rental process.
I also look at cutting the grant to 125,000. There's the money right there for half the lift. Yeah.
Yeah, cut the grant, definitely cut the grants in half for next.
Well, I think everybody was already in approval.
Yeah, but I mean,
I've already cut the grants in half.
half the money for the lift.
I've already made
So
that
now are
change.
you saying get the lift?
How about we put it on the budget, but it has to come back for our approval, final approval?
I'm fine with that, so that we maybe have time that you've discussed with them over there, if they can come to some money, then sure.
Because it comes down to procedure. We can tie our hands now, or,
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm not against the lift. I know this city needs a lift. It's great. I'm not against that, but if we need the money for the 4-year project to get it done and start doing it. Nothing moves fast, and I understand that, but for decisions like this, I think that stuff needs to move faster so that we have an idea. And when it doesn't move fast enough, then we had a discussion 4 months ago, and then now we're looking at it again, and nothing's changed.
Well, and honestly, that's the reason why I want approval tonight. It's a yes or a no for me. I understand the concept. We have the funding in front of us. We have an opportunity to, the various point. We can project a lot of things. For me, I love to sit here and tell you in 5 years, we're going to be better off than where we're at today. And honestly, I believe it. I can see it. I believe we brought that to the table with quick roofing. We have a hotel that's coming in. There's things that's going to generate revenue. And this is our city's is benefiting from it. It's a piece of equipment. It's kind of like building or buying a $50,000 Christmas tree. Nobody wanted to buy a $50,000 Christmas tree, but guess what? We have over 6,000 people a year that's coming to our town center that's spending their money in the city of Kennedale. So our vision entails what our future is. And I think as long as we continue to listen to our citizens and the direction that the board is saying, that's where our future is. And as long as we continue to do that, we're going in the right direction.
All right, so if I may, right now, the current budget we have in front of us, proposed budget, the fund balance ends at -7, a reduction of $721,000. If we cut the grants in half, now we're at $-596,000. And then if we go half on the lift, so that means the lift goes from 140 to 70 on the EDC budget, that should bring our net change in the fund balance down to 526,000 versus the 721 it's at now, roughly. So I think I can live with that. I know we have other things we have to contend with on the former Dollar General remodel, but at least if we do that, we make those two changes, reduce the grants in half. If we go halvesies on the lift with Public Works, it gets the net change a little bit more agreeable, I guess.
and again, we can say no when it comes time to purchasing it. What I think what we're trying to do is just put it in the budget so it'll be easier procedurally in the future to say yes or no.
Okay, I'm good with that.
So now the lift's back in?
Thank you.
I do want to discuss this $50,000 Christmas tree.
I love our tree.
I mean, but honestly, just last, I would still say just rent the thing, but with all the cuts we're making here and there, I think we'll sort it out.
I agree. I think it's a good compromise, and I think that's a good agreement. And they did cut a lot off.
That does put our projected ending fund balance over $2 million. So if you want to look at that number, we would be above that with these changes at the end of FY '26.
All right. We are through for updating our budget for 2026.
Better hurry up.
Is there anything else we have to do today? So quickly. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Now you can't do it no more, can't argue no more.
We're done.
Wait a minute, you got another argument coming up anyway.
What?
You got the city council budget workshop.